Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast, brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVRealtor.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. This week is cruising by, man.
I know.
How did that happen?
Crazy.
How you doing there, beautiful?
Super. How are you?
Good. I forgot to say that to you. I just want to make sure I start things the right way. My good-looking wife here with me, and the show just wouldn't be the same without her. Instead of the John and Heidi Show, it would be the John and Nobody Show. And, who would want to listen to that? Coming up later in the program, we've got a special guest. Going to be visiting with Kevin Moody about a book that he put out about the Kent State hippies. It's actually a pretty interesting concept for a book, and I'm excited to chat with him. That'll be later in the program. I've got a question for you, Heidi.
Sure.
Without cracking open an egg, how can you tell if it's a cooked egg is fresh or stale? An uncooked egg. How can you tell if an uncooked egg is fresh or stale?
I don't know. You shake it.
No. A fresh egg will sink. A stale egg will float.
Really?
So if you have some old eggs in the fridge and you're wondering if these are good or not, put them in water. Fresh eggs will sink. Stale eggs will float.
Have you ever had a stale egg?
I don't know.
So.
I've had eggs that weren't very good. Maybe that's why. Something wrong with these eggs. All right, that's going to do it for this break. We'll be back in a bit with more. Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Get razors for $1 a month plus a few bucks shipping, so you can enjoy fresh razors every month for as little as $3. Learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.
Thank you so much for listening on a Friday. Cannot believe we are almost done with the week here. Hey, take a listen to this. Contrary to conventional parental beliefs about turning off loud music while you're studying, psychologists at Glasgow Caledonian University in Scotland discovered that listening to rock music can boost your brain power. They're saying crank it up and you'll be as smart as you can be. I remember when I was a kid, I read a thing about classical music, that if you listen to classical music while studying, it helps you learn. And I actually bought some classical music and listened to it. I did. And I honestly think that it did work. That's why I'm so classically smart.
I see.
Okay. Sorry about that, Beethoven. Didn't work on me. But they're saying that if you listen to rock music really loud, it's supposed to help boost your brain power while you're studying and make you even more smarter than you was before. And I understand that everything I just said in that sentence was wrong. That was the whole point. Coming up, we've got a fun story about a cab driver and didn't give a tip. Instead, the cab driver got a kidney, or gave a kidney. We'll tell you all about it.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
You know it's true, Heidi, because you heard it on the radio. Instead of giving a cab driver a tip, the cab driver gave the rider his kidney. Rita Van Lonen has no idea that a trip in Thomas Chappelle's taxi cab could end up being the ride that saved her life. He says there are better odds of getting struck by lightning. A random taxi driver offering to give his kidney, and all these pieces match. And there has to be something behind this. How can this be? Chappelle, who's been driving Van Lonen to dialysis appointments for years, shocked the Gilbert, Arizona woman a month ago by saying, if you need a kidney, I'll give you one.
Oh,
how
sweet is that?
Yeah, even more shocking was the doctors found that they had the same blood type and that they were compatible. The Phoenix taxi driver said he was a man of faith and that a higher power wanted him to step in. So he was driving this lady to her dialysis and decided, hey, if there's something I can do, I'll give you a kidney. That's really cool.
Wow.
So that's really a wonderful, touching story. And I was thinking, the dialysis. I remember, I have to tell this story. There was a town that we lived in that had a place called the Renal Center.
Yes.
And right up the street from it was a place called the Rental Center.
Yes.
And I was looking for something to rent, and I went to the wrong place. I walked in, and I'm asking this lady. She's looking at me like I'm nuts. I'm like, you guys don't have this? She's like, this is for kidney dialysis. And I look at the sign. I'm like, oh, it says the Renal Center. I thought it was the Rental Center. She's like, 2 blocks south. So I felt like such an idiot. Anyway, what a cool story about this taxi driver giving his taxi fare. Is that what you call him? A fare?
Yeah,
pick up a
I
fare?
think so, yeah.
Giving the fare his kidney. What an awesome
That's
thing.
pretty cool.
It's really cool, and you know it's true.
Because you heard it on the radio.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. A Brooklyn butcher shop worker had a specialty hot kielbasa, Heidi, but it wasn't for eating, it was for snorting.
Okay.
Police Commissioner Ray Kelly said the kielbasa was really cocaine, not the Polish sausage sold in popular meat markets. According to a criminal complaint, the hot kielbasa was kept in the basement. 26 suspects were arrested, including the butcher, after the FBI informant visited the shop in response to a message, "Come to the store, I have hot kielbasa for you." So he's like, okay, what is that supposed to mean? So apparently they found out what it meant. He was selling cocaine out of the basement of the butcher shop, and got himself in a little bit of trouble for doing that. You don't do that. You know, sell the real kielbasa. You'll be just fine. Am I even saying that right? Kielbasa?
I have no idea. I don't even know what it is.
It's a sausage. I've seen it before. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it right. Kielbasa. Kielbasa.
I have no idea.
Anyway, I know it's good.
I have no interest.
I've never had this guy's, and I don't want any of his. Coming up here in a bit, we have your moment of duh that's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Now your moment of duh. When employees at the Foothills Bank in Wheat Ridge, Colorado, saw an elderly man at the door with a cane and a surgical mask on, they went out to help him. They're like, oh, he needs some help. Police say 70-year-old George Chatfield then pulled a gun.
Oh!
Tried to rob them. Yeah. The vice president of the bank grabbed his hand and knocked the gun loose. Then they sat on him until police arrived. When the cops arrived on the scene, they looked at the frail man and thought that there was maybe some confusion. Chatfield lives in an assisted living facility, and he's in very poor health. They have no idea why a 70-year-old man would rob a bank, but he did. Or he tried to.
He probably wanted out of that assisted living facility and wants to get back in his own place again.
Get enough bank, I'm going to be able to go wherever I want. So, that's not a smart idea. When you're 70 and, what was his plan when he got it? It's not like he was going to run away.
Yeah, he couldn't run. I don't know what he was going to do.
I don't know. So he didn't think this through very well, but that happened in Wheat Ridge, Colorado. Again, a 70-year-old man with a cane tried to rob a bank, did not do a very good job of it. Coming up, we have your scoop of the day. That is on the way. And later in the program today, we've got a guest. We're going to be visiting with Kevin Moody. He's got a book out, and he's talking about Kent State. He actually went to Kent State, and he's got a fun story about his time there. It's all on the way in a bit on the John and Heidi Show.
The scoop of the day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. Malaysia has issued a list of names, Heidi, that parents are banned from giving their children.
Did we talk about this?
No, this is a new country, yeah. 'Cause
Okay.
This is the third country now that includes names from animals, colors, insects, vegetables, and fruits. So you can't call your kid banana anymore. Well, what color are you going to name your child?
What about
Green?
violet? I've heard that.
Well, maybe that one's on the list. But there are people getting too creative with names and it's
amber.
causing problems.
That's
There
a
you go.
color.
That is a color. Adult cats meow to communicate with humans only. They've done a study. They found that they rarely meow to other cats. So they only talk to humans, or they're just stuck up, one or the other. We're not exactly sure. An art exhibit, is that what you call it? Exhibition, whatever, in Argentina is making some people mad. It's entitled Barbie, the Plastic Religion. It includes a Barbie dressed as the Virgin Mary and a Ken dressed as a crucified Jesus. It's caused outrage among the nation's Roman Catholics in Argentina. So there you go. Somebody trying to make a point, apparently. West Virginia couple who met 9 years ago on a softball field got married on the softball field last Saturday.
That's
How cool
nice.
is that? Be kind of neat to get married on the same field that you met on, the softball field. All right, in Las Vegas at Matorano's World Pasta Eating Championship, this is like a week ago, Matt Stoney The number one ranked competitive eater in the world managed to down how much pasta do you think in 8 minutes?
Oh my gosh. Are we going by
pounds.
How many plates? Pounds?
How many pounds of pasta in 8 minutes?
8 minutes?
A new world record. The number is?
12 pounds.
No, not quite. 10 pounds. Heidi's like, I could do that.
That's on Tuesday.
Do I get some wine with this? And some bread? Yeah, Matt Stoney, the new world record holder, 10 pounds of pasta in 8 minutes.
I love pasta.
Yeah, I like pasta, but not like that.
I would certainly try. I would take part in that. I wouldn't win, but I could sit and stuff
I've only
my
been in
face
one
with pasta.
competitive eating contest.
8 minutes, though. That's not much time.
And it was because I was the fat guy on the sidelines, and they needed one more person. They're like, you, sir, would you like to do this? I'm like, my wife's cooking dinner.
You were in one in Jamaica, a watermelon eating contest, remember?
I don't even remember that. So, anyway, I guess I've been in 2.
You didn't win.
I didn't win the other one either. Because I was eating, it was a hot dog eating contest, and you were cooking ribeyes at home. I literally just got off the phone. You're like, well, I got some ribeyes on the grill. You coming home? I'm like, yeah, I'll be home in a minute. And they're like,
and
sir.
then he comes home and he's not hungry. I'm like, what? After I got off with you, I joined a hot dog eating contest.
I really didn't want to. I'm like, okay, I suppose I'll do it. All right, Penn State and Yale astronomers have come to the conclusion that strange data patterns that they're observing from a distant star may indicate an alien superstructure outfitted with solar panels orbiting the star. May is the key word here. They don't know what it is. They're just going, oh, it could be. Yeah, it could be.
That's a nice voice.
Oh, thank you. A student driver.
Is that your scientist voice?
Yeah. Here's what I think it could be. An alien superstructure. Yeah, you've been watching a lot of movies, haven't you? Student driver in Washington State apparently confused the gas pedal and the brake pedal last week, drove through the driving school.
Yeah, we
bad.
talked about that.
Did we?
And she
All right.
failed.
Yeah, well, of course she did. According to a new study by the American Library Association, more than 9 out of 10 adults surveyed believe that libraries will remain necessary in the future despite of the internet. I agree with that. I think that libraries are very important.
Too. They're wonderful to have.
A group of 60,000 pediatricians said the U.S. tanning salons should close their doors to minors to protect them from skin cancer. Research shows people who start going to tanning salons before the age of 35 have a 75% increase in their chances of developing melanoma, the deadliest type of skin cancer. So be careful out there, kids. And our strange law for today. A Kentucky law stipulates that a person is considered sober until he or she cannot hold on to the ground. That is their official definition of no longer being sober in Kentucky. Meanwhile, Heidi's saying, I want to move to Kentucky. I knew that was coming. That's your strange law. This has been your scoop of the day. We have Kevin Moody coming up in a bit. He's our guest on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RoughToughKennels.com. Dog kennels and accessories sent to your front door wherever you live. Your dog deserves it. Learn more at RoughToughKennels.com.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest on the telephone line right now. We're going to be visiting with Kevin Moody, and Kevin has a book. It's actually a kind of a fun title for a book, The Battle of Fort Rock. We're going to be chatting with Kevin right now. Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Well, I love the title of the book, The Battle of Fort Rock. Now, what is the premise of the book, and why that title?
Well, that title actually includes a battle to remove a hex against one of my best friends. I discovered it May 4th, 1984, and had a lot of different battles and prayer and other things to remove that hex that predicated. But unfortunately, my only choice for going to college in the PhD program was Kent State. Little did I know, they were having a horrible controversy about almost 20 years later. I had started in 1988, and I could see the controversy in the newspapers. I didn't quite understand it. I thought they were overreacting at first. But I had to be right about Kent. I was praying for this friend. I had the impression he was under a hex, or he had a lot of very discouraging coincidences that might have mimicked a hex at the very least. I had to be right. I was praying for the guy who was the only one doing it. Turned out that the hippies in Kent were right. The administration in Kent was not keeping their word with them. And I became their friend, and there was a danger of a riot or a sit-in in Kent. I was the guy that got the task of calling the president of Kent State University using the principles of God, and I succeeded at doing it and kept the protest peaceful.
Good for doing that. That way better than what had happened there earlier, 20 years earlier. So that's amazing that you were able to help make that happen. Again, visiting with Kevin Moody, the author of Battle of Fort Rock, and in the description here, something that just fascinates me is it says atheist turned conservative Christian, and I love to see that. And we talked a little bit before we got on the radio about how that happened, and I thought that was fascinating. If you have a second to share how did you go from being an atheist to a Christian? What was the experience that happened?
First of all, I was a young kid when I became an atheist. In my Sunday school class, one of the students in that class used the Bible and the lessons of the Sunday school class to make fun of me.
Oh, that's too bad.
When I heard evolution, I was in the process of becoming an A science student. I just loved that because now I had a reason to believe God didn't exist, studying evolution, But that didn't last forever. About 3 years later in Gainesville High School, my biology teacher showed me how unscientific it was. He talked about the missing link, and he talked about them discovering Noah's Ark. There was a magazine article about it, and it got me thinking atheism is not on a solid foundation.
Yeah.
And about 3 years later, I had a best friend invite me to church. Well, I accepted Jesus Christ as my Savior, repented of my sins, got baptized in the name of Jesus Christ at the church in 1976, and on Easter 1977 got filled with the Holy Ghost.
That's awesome.
I mean, the thing about Christianity is that it's not as complicated as everybody makes out to be.
No, not at all.
Love your neighbors yourself,
yeah,
and love Jesus Christ are the two main commandments, and all the other commandments that show up in the Bible are based on that.
Just think about this particular principle right here. Even if you're not a Christian, if you followed that first rule, love your neighbor as yourself, just love one another, would the world be a better place?
Absolutely, and you will probably live happier.
If we all just loved each other.
Now, if you're an atheist, loving your neighbors yourself, you're going to have a lot of friends. You could move up in the world. The rewards will come with it. Heaven probably is not one of them, though. You got to accept Jesus for that one,
Yeah, and I like what I'm reading here. It's saying that if you're a Christian, you should be friends with people who maybe are not. Hippies, punk rockers, millennials. Why do you feel that way?
Well, I'll tell you what. With all the love our neighbors ourselves, I have studied the Bible and thought on the Bible for almost 40 years, and I have yet to find an exception to that rule.
Yeah.
I mean, we are supposed to evangelize the world, How are we going to evangelize the United States if we don't associate with the people in the United States?
Exactly.
And our command says, love your neighbors yourself. Do that. Guess what we get?
Yeah.
We first of all get peace in the home. Secondly, we're going to decrease the chances of sit-ins and riots like they had in Kent in 1970 or 1977. And we increase the chance of revival in this country. Our country will be more united. Well, and these people can be a lot of fun anyway.
Definitely. And like I was saying earlier, even if you don't make the decision to become a Christian, if you're listening and you're not a Christian, I'm not telling you that you need to become a Christian. That's a personal decision, and I am a Christian. I'm not ashamed to say that, and I'm glad to visit with Mr. Moody here, who says right in his book that he was an atheist and now is a Christian, which is awesome. But think about this. If we all just lived on the principle of loving one another, would the world be a better place or would we be worse off? And I can tell you resoundingly, the world would be a better place if we all just got along.
Yeah, if everybody committed to just loving their neighbors themselves and alongside prejudice, this country would be united tomorrow.
It would be. It'd be wonderful. And
they did that today.
That would be such a great thing. Your book, again, Battle of Fort Rock, and it kind of tells the tale of what happened with you at Kent State University?
And the development going to Kent State. The book tells how my attempt to build a perpetual motion machine led me to become friends with Kent State's hippies. Now, that path went through my friends got hexed 3 times, 2 of which I defeated that hex simply by the power of prayer, and the third one was a challenge. I had to get Kent right. Wound up going through Kent State University to defeat the third hex, and I had to be right about the hippies. I had to be able to do the right thing with them because they were my neighbors,
Very cool.
If I didn't, I risked that hex coming back on my friend. He's fictionally depicted in the book as Johnny Oilstring.
And again, the book is called The Battle of Fort Rock. Mr. Moody, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us here today.
Okay.
And again, Kevin Moody, the book is called Battle of Fort Rock, available right now at Amazon. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by CarsForSale.com. If you're in the market to buy a car, truck, or van, find thousands of vehicles to choose from at CarsForSale.com.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
It's the final weekday of October. It's Friday, the 30th day of October. Tomorrow is Halloween, but today is Checklist Day, so you can cross this one off the list. Next, it's Create a Great Funeral Day. So today's the day that you're supposed to plan your funeral, which is kind of creepy by, putting it right by Halloween. Devil's Night and Mischief Night is supposedly tonight. Also, Frankenstein Friday, Haunted Refrigerator Night, International Bandana Day. Then we got some other ones here, like National Breadstick Day. That doesn't quite fit on today, does it? Why is that today?
I have no idea.
But this one makes sense. National Candy Corn Day. Today is National Candy Corn Day.
Well, you would think that would be
Never been a fan of candy corn.
tomorrow, but
Only way candy corn is good is if you eat it with peanuts. Then it almost tastes like a salted nut roll.
yeah, that's
Deja
good.
vu. Haven't we had this conversation before?
Yes, we have.
I think we have. All right. Get out there and celebrate today however you feel like doing it. It is Friday, the 30th day of October.
This portion of the program is brought to you by StoneGroupArchitects.com. It's more than a building. It's design and function working together. Check out the project portfolio at StoneGroupArchitects.com.
Thank you for listening on a Friday. Take a listen to this. Joey Donald Simmons and a buddy decided to rob a cab driver. Unfortunately for them, a security camera in the cab captured their crime, and the local chapter of Crime Stoppers published their photos in the paper. Believe it or not, the two men were actually excited to see that their robbery and their photos made the newspaper. They also thought that it was wrong that somebody out there could potentially collect the reward for turning them in. After all, that person would be profiting off their crime, Heidi. If anybody deserved that money, it was them. That was their thinking. So they went down to the police station and they turned themselves in thinking that they would get the reward money. Yeah. Not only did they find out that, you're not eligible for the reward money. They were also fined $4,000 and sentenced to 30 years in jail. 30 years in jail.
That'll put a damper on the rest of your day.
Yeah. So Joey Donald Simmons or Simonson and your buddy, not necessarily using their head on that one. They really thought they could get the reward money?
Oh, apparently.
Yeah, that's not a smart thing to do. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would they give you the money? You were the one that caused that did the crime. Hey, got something over here. A burglar needing money to pay his income tax decided to burgle a safe in a store. And it says burgle. I didn't know that was a word, but that's apparently... On the safe door, he was very pleased to find a note that said, "Please don't use dynamite. The safe is not locked. Just turn the knob." So this is a note on the safe, right?
Oh.
So he did. That's when a big, huge, heavy sandbag fell and knocked him in the noggin. And the entire premises were flashed with floodlights. The alarms went off.
Oh, my gosh.
Police carried him out of the on a stretcher, and he was heard moaning, "My confidence in human nature has been rudely shaken." I think that's awesome.
That is awesome.
Two things that I like about that. First, I got to use the word burgle, which, again, I didn't know was actually a word. And secondly, how awesome is that they use the old Back to the Future 2 trick, dropping the sandbags down on the bad guys. I thought that was kind of cool.
Hilarious.
All right, coming up, we've got some fun stuff. Smoke or work. You can't do both. That is on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV, 1-800-259-7646. Also brought to you by RVWheelator.com. If you're buying an RV or selling an RV, check out RVWheelator.com and the Dollar Shave Club. Here's John and Heidi.
All right, smokers, listen up. If you smoke, you might not want to work in Central Florida. A growing number of companies in Florida are forbidding their workers from smoking, not only at work, but even in their private lives. Can you do that?
Well, I suppose you can if they're going to take part in your insurance plan.
I don't know. Westgate Resorts, the largest private employer in Central Florida, has banned smoking, and they won't budge from a policy of not hiring smokers and firing employees who are caught smoking. So if you're a smoker and you work for that company, you can't do both. You can either smoke or you can work at that company, but you can't do both. Now, I do not smoke. I cough a lot because when I was a kid, my mom and dad both smoked. I'm not a fan of smoking, and I even do everything I can to help people who do smoke. I help them any way I can. I help them quit. But I certainly wouldn't say, because we've had people that have worked with us that are smokers, I've never said, you either quit smoking or I'm going to fire you. Could never do that. No. I don't think that's even legal. But
I think what they're saying, what they're probably using as the reasoning is the insurance, because insurance has gone through the roof and employers can't afford to pay it. And if you've got a bunch of high-risk people on your payroll, that I can see. As an employer, I can see
anyway,
that.
It's in Central Florida. It is Westgate Resorts. That's the name of the place. Coming up, Anthrax Alert. We'll tell you about that after this.
This portion of the program is brought to you by GunUp.com. If you're a gun lover, you'll be in heaven at GunUp.com. built by experienced military veterans, shooting sports competitors, and publishing professionals. They have awesome stories and articles that are read by millions of gun enthusiasts. Check it out at gunup.com.
Dozens of Florida residents were called telling them to set their newly delivered mail outside so it could be tested for anthrax. Imagine getting a message like this on the phone. This is an anthrax alert. The mail you received, please put it in a bag and put it outside. The postal authorities are going to test the white powder that was found today in the Key Biscayne mailroom. Message brought to you by the chief of police. We're being cautious. Well, it turns out that cautious wasn't really the right word. The police department wasn't being cautious at all. The alert was never supposed to have been sent out. The Florida police accidentally kicked off a system, and dozens of Florida residents got that pre-recorded message. They were just testing it. Oh. So can you imagine getting that message? You're like, oh, no, I already checked my mail. Am I going to die? What's going on? So they had a little anthrax alert. This is like a week ago down in Florida. So it's kind of crazy. Second time in a couple of days that we've had stories about anthrax. So apparently that's back in the news again. Coming up, do you fidget a lot? Do you know somebody who does? Fascinating fact about fidgeting. Coming up in a bit on the John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. You can get razors sent to your door each month for just $1, plus a couple of bucks shipping. It's an amazing deal. Log on to dollarshaveclub.com/radio to learn more. That's dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now, back to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
Are you a fidgeter, Heidi?
Not really. I mean, sometimes if I'm nervous, I suppose I fidget.
Do we have anybody in our family that is a fidgeter?
Troy.
He's a fidgeter?
Oh, and he can't ever sit still at all. He's always either walking, pacing the room.
He paces a lot. I don't know what the deal is there. Well, a fascinating fact about fidgeters on the John and Heidi Show. Researchers say they have proof that people who fidget, who are constantly bouncing, like bouncing around or fumbling with stuff, who can't stay in their seats, they actually burn 700 calories a day more than we do.
No, of course. They're moving all the time.
To 6 miles of jogging, which is enough to keep even the most food-happy people thin. So they're saying
that would also explain why he's 6'3" and weighs 135, 140 pounds.
I don't know. He's a scrawny dude, but yeah, he's a fidgeter. Hey, this is an interesting idea here. If you ever find yourself in a bar in New York City and there's music playing that you want to get up and dance to, you better resist the urge. A state court has upheld a Prohibition-era law that bans dancing in bars, restaurants, and certain clubs.
What?
Yeah. So if you get to...
Where was this?
In New York City. So if you like to get up and boogie, there's an 80-year-old law that is still, according to the Supreme Court, it is still on the books, and they're saying we're going to uphold that. I don't know if it was the Supreme Court. It's a state court. There we go. So they're saying that, hey, this is against our freedom of expression. The court says recreational dancing is not a form of a form of protection. This doesn't make sense. A form of protection that's protected. Does that make any sense? I don't think that what they're trying to say is it's not.
That's not freedom of speech.
Yeah, because they're saying it's dancing. It's not speech. Anyway, it's not protected by the state or the U.S. Constitution. So in New York, they're saying
I would assume
no
that
dancing.
That's like each particular bar. They can say no dancing in here if they want. Not every bar, because New York has tons of nightclubs.
It says bars, restaurants, and certain clubs. So I don't know what the rules are, but there you go. That's in New York City. Does it shock you that something weird is coming from there?
Not at all, but...
All right. Coming up, we've got some good news. It's on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by DirecTV. Call 1-800-259-7646. They have hundreds of channels to choose from, with many packages to fit your viewing desires. Learn more at 1-800-259-7646.
We always try to end this program with something positive, and I think this is a really, really cool story, and it's a neat way to start a marriage. A newlywed doctor's honeymoon became even more memorable when she delivered a baby mid-flight.
Oh.
According to Time magazine, Dr. Angelica Zen, that's a cool name, Angelica Zen. Isn't that a neat name?
It is a neat name.
Sounds like somebody that would be like in movies or something. Anyway, she's a UCLA physician. She was traveling back from her honeymoon in Taiwan. That'd be a cool place to go on a honeymoon.
It would.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it'd be cool to go visit. Anyway, a woman went into labor over the Pacific Ocean. They don't know exactly where pacifically, but somewhere above the Pacific Ocean. Anyway, the resident doctor had to think fast, performing her very first unassisted delivery of a baby. The plane was diverted to Alaska because they were closer, and that's where the mother and her newborn were rushed to a hospital, and she had a beautiful little baby. How cool is that?
Okay, so the newlywed was the doctor, not the woman giving birth.
No, the newlywed was a doctor, yeah.
Somebody else gave birth and she assisted.
Exactly.
Okay. I thought the
paying attention?
newlywed gave birth on the plane.
How long was this honeymoon?
I was like, okay, wow.
No, they had just gotten
wedding.
married. They had just gotten married, and they were coming back, and somebody else on the plane gave birth.
That clears things up a bit.
Did I confuse you, or did
you
the story?
kind of stammer a little bit sometimes when you talk, so it's hard to understand exactly where we're at.
That's
in the
what I'm known for.
process.
That's what I'm known for is my stammering news here. And like I usually do. Where are my reading glasses right now?
Yeah, they're not
laying
on your head.
They're laying on the table. I should probably have those on my eyes. They work really well when I wear them. All right, that's going to do it for the John and Heidi Show on a Friday. Thank you so much for listening. Now, tomorrow night is Halloween, so be very careful and cautious if you're going to be out and about doing stuff. Have fun, but like I said, just be careful and cautious if you're trick-or-treating. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Thanks again for joining us on the John and Heidi Show.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can save money and you can save time. These guys are awesome, folks. They are going to bring razors directly to you. All you have to do is go to the website and sign up. For as little as $3 a month, you'll have razors magically delivered every single month. No magic is involved. But check it out, dollarshaveclub.com/radio. Now your bonus break. A judge in Louisville, Kentucky declared a mistrial in a murder case after discovering the defendant was convicted on the toss of a coin. Yeah. The Louisville Courier-Journal reported a jury in Jefferson Circuit County Court deliberated for 9 hours over 2 days before deciding with a coin toss. With a coin toss. Yeah, that's better.
Wow.
Because they were unable to agree. The defendant, Philip Givens, was thus convicted by a jury for the shooting death of his girlfriend. The jury was back in court a few days later, but by then the judge had already heard about the coin toss. The jury foreman confirmed the verdict was decided by flipping a silver dollar.
Oh, my gosh.
Mistrial was declared.
I cannot believe that.
According to Philip's attorney, it kind of blows your mind when you think about a lapse in judgment. He says, I don't think it goes on very often, but it's really sad, you know. Think about
that's scary.
A coin.
And they're basically just gambling with his life. That is insane.
Think you did it? I don't know. Let's flip a coin.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, one other story here. I don't have a huge bonus break today because I got places to go and things to do. Listen to this. Sometimes getting on with life after being released from prison isn't such a good thing. Police in Romania say a man who was jailed for 4 years for robbing a wealthy neighbor's apartment was caught by the same police person robbing the same property just hours after he was released from jail.
Oh.
Duh. The guy, Ionel Releno, probably didn't say any of that right, faces another 15-year sentence for getting caught stealing jewelry and money and a computer from the same people.
He must have liked prison.
Apparently. That is just dumb. All right, I guess there's two stories here. I thought this was part of that one, but it was all run together because I deleted the space between them. 65-year-old Luis Vega recently applied for Social Security benefits, as any senior should do. You know, it's not a deal, no big deal, except for Vega had been living under an assumed name for years because of a murder incident that involved him in 1971. So when he applied for his benefits, he used his Social Security number from the days when he allegedly committed the murder. That alerted Social Security Administration investigators to a 35-year-old murder warrant for Vega. He's now being held in Cook County, Illinois. So he's 65. He's saying he had nothing to do with it. He changed his name and hid because, I have nothing to do with it. Well, now he's going to get to have his day in court.
Yeah, that's not the way you handle it.
No.
I mean, if you're being accused of something,
now
he just looks guilty. It looks like he was on the run.
Certainly doesn't look good.
No.
That's going to do it for your bonus break. It's brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. You can learn more at dollarshaveclub.com/radio.